for the last several weeks, we have been studying three kinds of knowledge, three kinds of actions, three kinds of doers. Then we also studied three kinds of buddhi, three kinds of dhriti, and also three kinds of joy last time. So from verse 20 to verse 39, Bhagwan has been talking about these kind of three different kinds of things depending on their gunas: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Now, 40th shlok, which we will be doing today, will be a kind of a concluding shloka, giving us the various classifications of things. Of course, even in Adhyay 17 and 14, we have talked about the gunas, but we have studied more or less about how they are manifested. But from where have they come? And how come we are in their control? How come these gunas are dictating what kind of buddhi we have? How come these gunas are dictating what kind of joy we feel? What kind of actions we do? What kind of sanskars we have? So today's shloka will address that. So let's read shlok number 40 first. Na tadasti prithivyaṁ va divi deveshu va punaha sattvam prakritijair muktam yadhebi syatribhir gunehi. Bhagwan says, there is no being on earth or in Akash or even among the gods or anywhere else who is free from these three gunas born of Prakriti. So let's understand. The first thing we need to understand, that entire creation is made up of these three gunas: sattva, rajas, and tamas. Everything on earth, including us, BMI, creatures, everything, whatever there is, living and non-living, are made up of these three gunas. Even animals, actually, you can see the gunas very clearly in the animals. For example, the cow and the deer, they have a preponderance of sattva gun. Lions and tigers, for example, will have a preponderance of rajas. And buffalo and elephant is known to have preponderance of tamas. So like that, everything in the world, all matter, everything that is matter is made up of these three gunas. Even if you take an atom, okay, in an atom also you will see the three gunas. Let's see how. The matter of the atom is tamas, okay. Then the activity that happens in the atom is rajas. And the intelligence in the atom, that is sattvic element. So everything is necessarily made up of three gunas. Now, according to Sankhya Yoga, okay, everything is a union of Purush and Prakriti. Purush being the supreme being and Prakriti being matter. So there's a combination. This is according to Sankhya Yoga, okay? Now, this Purush or this supreme consciousness, this is invariable. It is constant. It doesn't change, okay? It's unchangeable. But the Prakriti part, the matter part, is constantly changing. It's constantly variable, okay? And it is this three gunas which is in the matter part of the universe. Purush, no gunas. Purush is beyond gunas, okay? It is not polluted, you can say, by the gunas. Whatever we see manifested in the world, that is the creative energy of the universe, or you can say Maya, made up of the three gunas, which is everything that is manifest in the world. So firstly, everything is three gunas. Purush is beyond gunas. Prakriti is all gunas. Okay, everything in Prakriti, all matter is gunas. Now, these gunas, which we see in matter, in Prakriti, everything that has the gunas will have it in different proportions. So these gunas manifest in different proportions in different people or beings at different times. So it is not that, you are just born with one guna and till you die, you'll only have that guna. No, it keeps varying. It's flexible, it's variable. And at different times, people will have different gunas. Though there will be one predominant guna which will dictate most of your actions. So, because each person is unique with a unique combination of sattva, rajas, and tamas, it's like each person drinks a different kind of a tea or a coffee, right? Now in India, it's very difficult to make tea for someone because each one likes their tea exactly in a particular way. So many leaves of tea must go in. So many grains of sugar should go in. So many drops of milk should go in. Someone wants more sugar, someone wants less milk, someone wants no milk, someone wants only sugar, no milk. So many combinations are possible. In the same way, in every single person, this is continuously changing preponderance of one guna over the other. That is why when there is one stimulus, no two people will react the same way because all the reactions are coming out of the gunas. So everyone will be reacting to one stimulus differently. Okay. Now, the interesting thing about gunas, one of the meanings of guna in Sanskrit is rope. And a rope is something that ties you. A rope is something that binds, right? So guna is also something that binds us. Gunas is what causes our bondage in sansar. So in Adhyay 14, if you have your book, you can open and see shlok number 5. Bhagwan tells Arjun, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. These three gunas, born of nature, tie down the imperishable soul to the body. So what is the cause of our bondage? These gunas, because these gunas are dictating almost everything that we will think, say, and do. Bhagwan Shankaracharya also, when he wrote his Bhashya, he wrote, and I'm quoting, all of sansar is made up of three gunas, and these three gunas are superimposed on the self due to ignorance, adhyas, we have studied. If we fail to root it out, if we fail to root out this superimposition of gunas on the self, it will lead to anartha. Anartha means great misery. So our bondage, which is actually causing our misery, can be put to an end if we understand gunas and if we can rise above them. So the goal of life is to rise above the three gunas. The one who rises above the three gunas is called gunatita. So this doesn't mean that the gunatit doesn't have any gunas at all. He wouldn't be alive if he didn't have the gunas. So gunatit doesn't mean you don't have any gunas. Or rising above gunas doesn't mean that you don't have any gunas anymore. What it really means is that he's experiencing this world, he's experiencing the plurality of this world as the play of gunas among gunas. Everything he sees, he's understanding clearly, this is just gunas at work. And people are acting out of gunas, and then people are reacting also out of gunas. So a gunatit understands that and rises himself, stays away out of this action and reaction due to gunas. Even sons and highly evolved people, even they are not like 100% sattvic, or they are not 100% without any gunas. There is little rajas in them also. There is little tamas in them also, which is required for living in sansar. Okay. Now, if you go back to Adhyay 14, Bhagwan has given beautiful marks, lakshans of a gunatit. And I thought it would be nice to review them over here, because they can act as a benchmark for us to see how much have we transcended our tamas, our rajas, and our sattva. So let me just go through them. There are about 8 little lakshans. So a gunatit, what is a gunatit? He is one who has no rag and no dvesh, no attachment and no aversion for any manifestation of guna. Whatever is being manifested, he understands this is only gunas which are being manifested. Therefore, no need to be attached to it and no need to have any aversion to it. Second, he understands clearly gunas are at play. And when we engage with that, we are also reacting out of gunas only. So what does the gunatit do? He understands that and does not react. He witnesses. 3, what does the gunatit have to do? How does he manage to witness? He remains established in the self. A gunatit is one who remains established in the self. Self means what? Atma. 4, whatever is going on in the world, pleasant and unpleasant, he accepts it with equipoise. Similarly, if there's criticism or there's praise, both are accepted with the same understanding that these are only gunas at play. Whether there's a friend or there's a foe, the gunatit will never display like or dislike. Whatever is his understanding, both of them will be treated equally. That is a gunatit. And of course, the most important thing, which of course is probably the thing that is of critical importance to become a gunatit, he has given up doership of all action. He does not own the action or that I have done this or I have done that. He renounces doership of all actions and he's constantly surrendered to the highest power. So in other words, these lakshans are like little benchmarks for us. Then we can see how equanimous are we for praise and criticism. How do we treat friends as against foes? How are we when we are bombarded with some unpleasant stimulus? Are we reacting again? How are our gunas getting manifested? And this will help us in our spiritual journey. So that is what Bhagwan has brought a conclusion to these 3 different kinds of gunas as knowledge, doer, action, joy, dhriti, buddhi, etc. And he now takes us into a more practical application of gunas. Okay. Now we see how Bhagavad Gita, talking about the most sublime, most intangible truths, he comes down completely to grassroots levels of how gunas can be used to make our life more simple and to help us even transcend our gunas. So we'll go to the shlok 41, next shlok, okay? I'll just do these 2 shloks today because they're very interesting. From 42 onwards, again, we will go on to expanding on shlok 41. So let's take 41. Brahmana Kshatriya Visham Shudranam cha parantapa Karmani pravibhaktani Swabhava prabhaver gunehi. the duties of the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and the Vaishyas, as well as the Shudras, have been assigned to their innate modes of Prakriti, Arjun. Practical understanding of our nature. From where have these gunas come? Why are we always reacting based according to our gunas? And how can we transcend this to reach our highest goal? Now, already in Adhyay 4, Bhagwan has touched upon these 4 categories of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Bhagwan had said in Adhyay 4, the 4 orders of society, namely Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, were created by me. Classifying them according to the gunas, remember this, classifying them according to the gunas predominant in them and apportioning corresponding duties to them. You see, because of ignorance, because of wrong understanding, because of incomplete understanding, people have taken these 4 classifications or orders of society as castes. There is no such thing as caste in Sanatan Dharma. These are orders of society, which we call Varna. And Bhagwan has clearly said these categories of people have been put into 4 groups according to what? The guna predominant in them. You see, every person is born into a family, obviously, but it is not by chance that you have been born in that family, okay? You would think that it's just randomly like one child enters one family. It's not like that. Based on our sanskars, based on our vasanas, based on our karmas that we are carrying from our past life, we take birth into this life. So our own sanskars, our own karmas, and our own vasanas dictate the family in which we are born. Okay. And what we will do in this life and the sanskars, karmas, and vasanas that we will die with will dictate where we will take birth in our next life. And you don't want a next life, then be sure you're not taking back any karmas and vasanas with you, right? Now, these sanskars which we have brought from our past life, okay, they are also of 3 gunas. Our sanskars can also be sattvic or rajasic or tamasic, right or wrong? Sanskars means what? Impressions that we have carried with us due to whatever we have experienced. Now, whatever we have experienced could be sattvic. Whatever we have experienced could be rajasic or tamasic. So these sanskars which we are born with, they can be of any of these 3 gunas. And when we are born, we manifest those sanskars, and that becomes our swabhav, our personality, our nature. So, swabhava prabha gunehi, there's one word in this shloka. It means that whatever sanskars we have, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, they will dictate not only our birth, but they will also dictate our swabhav, our nature, our disposition, our personality. All right. So sanskars are sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. We come into the world, we operate out of these, and these make up our swabhav. Strangely, heredity does not play any part in our nature. It is not up to what our parents were, that is our nature. No. That is why sometimes parents and children are very different. That is why two siblings are also very different. So heredity doesn't play a part in determining our nature. It will play a part in determining our gross body, but not our nature. Each one of us is born with a unique combination, like a lock, 7-lever lock. Each 7-lever lock is different. There's a different combination of key locks that you have to turn the key and it will open. Similarly, we have our unique combination of sanskars, unique combination of vasanas, unique combination of karmas. And based on these unique combinations, broadly, 4 categories of people have been created. Okay. And these 4 categories of people have been given certain duties depending on their swabhav, on their capability, on their disposition, on their likes, on the ease with which they would do that duty. See how important it is that when we are young and our young kids are there who are, just entering into the professional world, they have finished their college and we are pushing them into this profession and that profession, thinking this profession is, lucrative and this profession is going to grow very well and this profession will bring a lot of money. No, that's the wrong way of going about it. What is their swabhav? What is their guna? What will make them do their duty spontaneously well? And you should allow the child to go into that field of work. So and what's the importance of that? Not just that he will be able to do his work easily. The most important thing Bhagavan says is by performing the correct kind of work, what he calls correct duty, you can transcend your gunas. So these 4 main categories are Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. These are called Varnas. Varna is also called color. Okay. And these are based on our innate qualities, our dispositions, our capabilities. Now, how are these categories formed? So, sattva, when sattva is predominant, then the source of Brahmans is sattva. Because there's predominantly sattva in these people, they are called Brahmans. Another reason why they are called Brahmans, you'll understand that a little later, I will explain to you. The source of the nature, the swabhav, the source of swabhav of Kshatriyas is Rajas. And in that Rajas, secondary is Sattva. So Brahmans are predominantly Sattva, Kshatriyas are predominantly Rajas with a secondary guna of Sattva. Vaishyas are predominantly, they have more rajas in them and a little bit of tamas. And Shudras have more tamas, little rajas. So this is how the 4 categories have been formed depending on what is the predominant guna in every individual. Now, because sattva is the predominant guna in the swabhav of a Brahman, his nature will be tranquil. The nature of Brahmana is tranquility, serenity, peacefulness. The nature of Kshatriyas, which is basically Rajas with a little bit of Sattva, is called lordliness, authority. Okay. The nature of Vaishyas is hardworking, industrious. And the nature of Shudras is serving because they are not capable of thinking on their own. They are good for serving. Okay. So let's see what are the duties attributed to Brahmanas. As I said, I'll tell you a little later, the word Brahmanas, they are the thinkers. You can call them the creative thinkers of our society, the philosophers, the ones who have a way of, you can call them the brain bank of the society, brain bank. They are the thinkers. Okay. Now, what are they thinking of? Higher things, not about how the land should be, government should be run. No, they're thinking of higher things. They're thinking of Brahma. And because their predominant thought in their mind is how to transcend gunas, they think of going into the state of gunatit, and that is Brahma. That is why they are called Brahmans. So they have three obligatory duties. What should a person who is a creative thinker, a philosopher, what are his three obligatory duties? Study the Vedas, perform the yagnas, and give dan. These are the three obligatory duties of a Brahmana, the one who is a thinker, the one who has predominance of sattva, the one who is generally tranquil. In addition to these obligatory three duties, he has three optional duties or secondary duties. They are called, now he has studied the Vedas, he has a choice, he can teach the Vedas, he can teach the Shastras, but that's his choice. It's optional. Studying, obligatory. Teaching, optional. Then obligatory, perform the yagna. Optional, perform yagnas for others. How the Pandits do? They perform yagnas for others. You and I don't know how to do yagna. We call the Panditji. He does it. So that is performing yagnas for others. And obligatory is to give dan. But optional is also to take dan. So these are what the Brahmanas' duties are. Coming to Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas are the warriors. Kshatriyas are the protectors of Dharma. Arjun is the Kshatriya. They're the rulers of the land. They're the politicians in our current society scenario. The same three obligatory duties are there for Kshatriyas also. What is that? Study the Vedas, perform the yagnas, give dan. Three are obligatory, compulsory. Then they also have optional. What are they? Protect the people. That is their dharma. Protect the people, and they have to also give justice. So if they are the rulers of the land, they have to give justice to the people of the land. Coming to Vaishyas, they are the commercial employees. They are the traders. They are the merchants. They're the ones who look after trade. So they also, strangely, have the same three obligatory duties. They also have to study the Vedas. They also have to perform the yagnas, and they also have to give dan. But in addition to that, they have two more optional duties. What are they? Cultivate the land, the farmers. They have to cultivate the land because they have to provide food. And then do other things like animal husbandry, dairy, trade, even money lending. That is one of the Vaishya's duties. Okay. Then we come to Shudras. Shudras are the ones who cannot think creatively. They are not philosophers. They are not warriors. They don't have that brawn and that ability to lead others. They don't have the ability or the capability of doing trade, commerce, farming, animal husbandry. They don't have those skills. So what do? They serve the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, and the Vaishyas. So their duties are very different, and they are all obligatory, no optional. What are they? Simple ones. Be truthful. That's a obligatory duty of a Shudra. Control your anger. Be clean and support your family. perform Shraddh for your Pitrus, and be of service to the other three Varnas. So each Varna, based on their gunas, based on the sanskars that they are born with, they are assigned certain duties, and their swabhav is such that they will be able to do those duties properly. Now, what is the importance of doing the duty according to the varna? Bhagwan says very clearly, by doing this, you will transcend your guna. Tamas can evolve into rajas. Rajas can evolve, sublimate into sattva. And finally, sattva can also become gunatit. Therefore, it's very important to know our swabhav before we choose the profession or the area or the sphere of work where we are planning to put our children or even ourselves. In the ancient times, the philosophers, the rishis, the munis, there were more of those people, the creative thinkers. The world was a very divine place. And that era, when there were a lot of rishis, munis, and creative thinkers, that era of time was called Satyayug. Then after some time, not some time, after a lot of time, the Kshatriyas started outnumbering the Brahmins. And they started ruling the land. And they were known for their bravery. They were known for their chivalry. And that era is called Treta Yuga. So when the Brahmins were predominant, it was Satyayug. When the Kshatriyas were predominant, more in number, outnumbered the Brahmins, it became Treta Yuga. And then a time came when trade and commerce started, dominating the world, and the Vaishyas started controlling the fortunes of the world. And that yuga is called Dwapar. And now we are living in Kali Yuga. Labor unions, the force of labor, the predominance of dullness, and the inability of people to be thinkers, the inability of people to be chivalrous, the inability of people to create resources, but only want to take shortcuts to everything. This is the dullness of the Shudra, and that is why we are called Kali Yuga. So, this is all very well, very nice information, but this is inside the Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagwan is talking to Arjun in the battlefield. Now, in a battlefield, why is he giving this big pravachan about Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras? This should be in a classroom, not in a battlefield, when both the enemies are standing in front of each other. So what's the point of bringing in this topic at such a juncture when the war is about to begin? Now go back all the way to Adhyay 2. Arjun, in his ranting and raving about in his dejection and despondency, he had said categorically, I don't want to fight this war. It's better I take one begging bowl and I become a monk and beg for alms. Doesn't matter. I lose my kingdom, I lose everything, and I will become a monk. The point is, he wants to become a monk with the swabhav of a warrior. Will it work? Impossible. His Kshatriya swabhav will not allow him to become a begging monk. So Bhagwan wants to remind Arjun about his innate disposition, about his swabhav. And that is why he's introducing this topic at this juncture. And look at the name that Bhagwan uses for Arjun. Parantapa. Parantapa, scorcher of enemies. He wants to remind Arjun, you are a Kshatriya. You are a scorcher of enemies. You have fought so many battles and you have had victory over asuras and adharmic people. It is your disposition to be a warrior. And it is your duty to protect dharma. It is your duty to re-establish dharma in your land. And therefore, do your duty. So all this big pravachan on four varnas is only to make Arjun understand you are a Kshatriya. Your duty is to fight. Your duty is to establish dharma and do all this in karma yoga bhav. Why? Because this is the way you will be able to transcend your rajas, which makes you a Kshatriya, and take you to the level of Brahmana and then Gunatit. Okay. So for us also, it is important for us to understand our swabhav. How is our swabhav dictating our words? How is our swabhav or guna dictating our actions, our thoughts? Where are we in this ladder of spiritual evolution? And our sadhana has to be to recognize this swabhav, and recognizing this swabhav, do our appropriate duty, okay, and become gunatit. How to recognize our swabhav? What is the actual swabhav? How will I know that when I'm speaking or when I'm doing something, I'm expressing sattva, rajas, or tamas? How will I know that? I'll tell you next Thursday. Till then, evaluate where you stand right now. Okay? Oh. 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 Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Shidarpanam. Jai Gurudev.